The absolute cope of the Mortal Kombat community needs to be studied like nothing has ever been studied before. I could not believe the things I was seeing being tweeted on Twitter yesterday following the Evo numbers for Mortal Kombat 1. The excuses made for Mortal Kombat 1 are some of the funniest and most arse-backwards excuses I have ever heard in my life. Listening to the MK community make every single excuse for the game's downfall other than addressing the glaring issues reminds me of when you put a microphone in front of a fighter's face just after they've been knocked out. Remember when Tyson Fury said he won the fight against Alexander Usyk and then said people only chose Usyk to win because his country is at war, essentially making out like it was done out of pity, and then shouted Happy New Year into the mic. Yeah, it was for every other reason other than the fact that Usyk just beat the piss out of you to the point that the rope saved you from falling back on your ass. It must be because we felt bad for Usyk's people at war. That's what you guys sound like. You sound like a boxer with a concussion after a fight has just finished. Nonsensical balance patches, no communication from community managers or developers, broken patches that are meant to fix broken patches that then break the game even more. Game-breaking glitches that stay in the game for months with no addressing whatsoever and no acknowledgement, a predatory online store, overpriced microtransactions, a barely functional online system for the first leg of MK1's run, no crossplay. Crossplay gets implemented, but only partially, so you have to wait for King of the Hill crossplay. The wrong season being uploaded into the game with some of the most hideous skins you will ever see, terrible offline features like invasions, and that is to just name a few. That is literally just naming a few. I'm literally rattling off from the top of my head, but there's more. I just don't want to make the entire video about MK's issues. That's not what we're here to discuss today. But even after saying all of that, do you know what the response will be from members of the community? It's just cool to hate on Mortal Kombat. They're doing it for views. They're jumping on the bandwagon. It is honestly baffling to me that people with all of their faculties in place can be so dismissive of a product they claim to love. Firstly, it's not cool to hate Mortal Kombat. It is necessary and warranted. They charged us for a game they didn't bother to develop properly. Do you honestly think that Mortal Kombat 1 launched in an acceptable state? Like, honestly. What was the other excuse? Give it 6 months, was it? Right. We're far beyond 6 months, and Homelander is not only running amok on the game because he's poorly balanced, he's also threatening the cameraman to zoom out so the opponents can't actually see their cheeks getting clapped, which, to be fair, is actually pretty on brand for Homelander. And if he's not doing that, he's disabling the game's music, or making characters phase through him like he's Uchiha Obito. Nah. It was just cool to hate on Mortal Kombat. There's no other reason other than because we want to be accepted into the cool kids club, of course. They're just doing it for views. Another popular one that makes me laugh. They're just doing it for views. Okay, let's go over this. If people unanimously or even generally thought that people were just doing it for views, they would not be watching the videos for almost a year into the game's lifespan. It would have died out by now. It would also tank those people's channels because when you're doing nothing but talking shit with no substance, people will eventually leave because they know you're just making something up and they know you have nothing better to do and nothing more to offer them. They're showing up to these videos because they share those same sentiments. They feel cheated by NRS for taking their money on false promises made of the collector's edition and even the regular one, and so they're voicing it. And the ones that aren't voicing it are tuning into content creators that are voicing it for them. Do you know what happens when people talk down on Elden Ring? They get flamed for it. Why? Because Elden Ring is almost unanimously loved by gamers. Why is it loved by so many? Because the people that developed it put a lot of love and care into it, and it shows. Are there performance issues on PC that are worth addressing? Sure. But nobody is mad at that. Those are completely valid and warranted. People love Elden Ring so much that Alana Piss made a comment about having a pause button in the game and people got mad.
There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability.
Now, admittedly, her reasoning was ridiculous because children are not a disability, and you probably shouldn't be playing Elden Ring when your little one is running around. The same way you probably shouldn't be starting a set on Tekken if your little one's running around, but I digress. We've been over the one and done situation. We're not going to go back into it. I'm just saying people heard that and said no. People ride for Elden Ring. They stand for it in droves because it has earned that. Mortal Kombat has not. It has earned the negative press because it is a dog shit product, and the reason these videos get a lot of views is because that is the general consensus online. To not acknowledge that and pretend otherwise is ridiculous. I'm not saying you can't like Mortal Kombat 1, but to pretend like you don't get where the hate is coming from means you're either slow or you're walking around with blinders on. It has to be one of them. There is an absolutely arse backwards content creator called Perfection the Natural Selection who has been making hate videos about Sparking Zero for damn near a year, and if you go and check out his comment sections, people are roasting him. Almost nobody agrees with what he's saying and he's just talking dribble. The views on his videos have remained the same. You know why? Because after you hear someone talk shit on the game for 4 to 5 videos and there's no validity, people move on. People are looking for substance. They're looking for something that resonates with them. His criticisms on Sparking Zero are unsubstantiated, maniacal noise.
So essentially, people are celebrating a game that they hate because it's just Jump Force focused in on Dragon Ball. No, I started to see it and I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, okay, sure, they have flight, but that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's all they added was flight. That's all Jump Force doesn't have. That's the difference between the two, is flight. Tell me I'm wrong.
Come here, let me slap you. Come here, let me slap you.
The criticisms of Mortal Kombat are very real. Why does Mortal Kombat get such a spotlight when it does things wrong? Why do you think? This is one of the big 3 fighting games. Not only that, Mortal Kombat is one of the most legendary gaming franchises. Not fighting game, but gaming franchises. Everybody knows Mortal Kombat like everybody knows Superman. So that's why the spotlight is on it. It's not some throwaway game you can purchase for £2 on Steam. It's a full price game from a well-known developer that has a giant and active audience that spans over 30 years. It's not cool to hate on Mortal Kombat. It is necessary and it is valid. People want Mortal Kombat to be good again, and you guys with your 101 nonsensical excuses are actually the worst. Tom Brady said it best: toxic positivity. NRS said, here's some goop scoop, guzzle it down your throats and smile, and you guys said sure. I'll have some goop scoop, I'll guzzle it down for you, no problem. So let's get into some tweets from Earthrealm's defenders to see what they're saying following MK's shambolic Evo numbers and people clowning it. The first one here is from Sonic Fox, and he says, don't get me wrong, MK1 has its fair share of problems, but I think legitimately it's a combination literally every other FGC community shitting on the game for some reason, as well as the game being banned in various countries. People dunk super hard on MK for some reason. And this has been ongoing for years. I genuinely believe the game is incredibly good and is arguably in its best spot yet, but folks do not stop talking about it in a negative light, especially from figureheads who don't even play the game. Has its fair share? Has its fair share? No. Mortal Kombat 1 has all of the problems. If you ask a Mortal Kombat 1 fan or player how many issues Mortal Kombat 1 has, the appropriate response should be all of them. Just all of them. No number, just all of them. Every other fighting game community shitting on the game for some reason. Some reason. They dunk on MK for some magical reason. Are we telling jokes today or something? It is this dismissive behavior as to why the Mortal Kombat developers think that people hate their games for reasons that have nothing to do with the game. I already listed an array of reasons earlier in this video and yesterday, and if you go through my comment section or just scroll through Mortal Kombat Twitter, you find glitch after glitch after glitch after glitch. Not to mention the piss poor balancing. Let's get hyped for Peacemaker vs Johnny Cage for the 17th time today. I wonder who they're going to pick as a cameo to really spice things up. Oh, Chameleon. Cause the character can basically do everything, so why go somewhere else? Okay, well let's all get hyped to see the same shit we've been seeing since God knows when, and if you're not hyped, then you're jumping on a hate train. Oh, did you drop some items in the store? Did you drop some cool costumes, some cool things that I can pick up today? Well, no problem. I've got to work today, so I'll jump on the game tomorrow and I'll get them then. Oh, the store rotated and it's gone. Oh, that's so hype, man. That's so cool. Oh, I have to grind this weird board game that looks like it was developed by somebody that hates the world to get a skin for this character that I really like. That's so cool, dude. That's so hype. And if you don't think that's hype and you don't think that's cool, you're just angry for views. You don't need to play this game to know it's dog shit, the same way you don't need to run into incoming traffic to know it's a bad idea. Yeah, it's a shame. Like, NRS gave us everything we asked for from Mortal Kombat 11. Changed wake-up systems, cinematic for FBs, more creativity and combo potential, better movement, toned down jumping. But no, now everything is still negative. Doesn't matter what NRS does, people will hate. NRS gave us everything we asked for. So you guys were asking for game-breaking glitches and barely functional features. Did you also ask for delayed patches and broken patches? How about useless cameos and overpowered characters that they can't seem to nerf properly, or rather just correct? It does matter what NRS does, but they probably need fighting gamers in there that understand what makes a fighting game pass the test of time, and considering the sheer copium from people in the Mortal Kombat community, I don't think they should be listening to them. If I'm being quite frank, it would be a completely different story if Mortal Kombat had thousands and thousands of active players and other scenes were just ripping it, because then it's like, well, they've made a game that appeals to a certain type of people, so who cares what other people are saying? It's working. But that's not the case. Your own community have turned its back on the game. The other issue is NRS do not understand how to design a competitive fighting game, so entrance will be low because it's not a serious fighting game. But at least if it was fun, we take it as just that. Like Mortal Kombat 10, there's so many balancing issues and systems in that game that are fundamentally flawed and can be dissected, but the game is fun. So it's like, whatever. Everyone's having a good time. I loved Mortal Kombat 10. I know how broken that game was. I know that it had balancing issues. I loved Mortal Kombat 10. And I played one of the weakest characters in the game, which was Scorpion. I believe the stance was called Inferno, the one that had the minions come out of the ground. Everyone knows Hellfire Scorpion was the way to go. And there were much stronger characters, but the game was so fun. And I loved the way they designed the characters in that game that I did not mind. Didn't bother me whatsoever. And people can attest to this because I was playing Mortal Kombat 10 for a very, very long time. Not to toot my own horn, but here is proof. And I made loads of friends on Mortal Kombat 10. Despite playing a character that was universally judged to be weak, I was having a good time. Why? Because it was fun. And it's not like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 doesn't exist. Yeah, games can be broken, they can be oppressive, they can be unfair at times, they can be fundamentally flawed. But if you're having fun, we will take it. Third Strike is a broken fighting game. There's things legitimately broken in that game. Maximilian did a great video on it and you should check it out. But you know what? Third Strike is so much fun and so unique in its design and its aesthetic that we said no problem. It ain't perfect, but it's special. That's not Mortal Kombat. It was with Mortal Kombat 9, despite its flaws. I don't like Mortal Kombat 9. I've been very open in telling people that, but I acknowledge that Mortal Kombat 9 was a special game. I like Mortal Kombat 10. Despite its flaws, it was a special game. Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1, no chance in hell. Yeah, if there's a million good things and one negative, people will base their whole opinion of the game on the negative and then spread around bad things to build up the bandwagon. If there's a million good things, what the Alright guys, fuck it. Since he set the bar so high, I'm going to do a competition on this video. If you can name 10 good things about Mortal Kombat 1, I will buy you a copy of Sparking Zero, regular edition, don't push your luck. I will buy you a copy of Sparking Zero, pay for postage, and send it to you. I don't care where you are in the world, I will purchase the game for you, and I will send it to your address. Here's the competition. 10 things that are good about MK1, and I want descriptions with each, telling me why in detail, not just single word, a breakdown, not just a single word, a full breakdown. You have my word. And then we'll do a video and I will read out your responses. But I don't anticipate doing a video because I don't think anyone's actually going to respond, because I think people are going to hear what I just said and go, and that's going to be it. But if we get those responses in, I will do a video and I will announce the winner in the video. Obviously, it's going to be based on my opinion. And you know what? Actually, we'll do one better. Just to be objective, I'm going to invite some other content creators into the video. I'll ask Perfect Legend. I'll ask some other people if they want to jump in, just so it's not my own biases. We can be a little bit fair about it. But this tweet has spun me. A million good things. I know he's exaggerating there, but you couldn't get 10. I don't believe you guys can get 10. And because he set the bar so high, for him specifically, I'd say 20 good things. You guys know that I've been hard on Tekken 8, but it's mostly been for certain modes like ranked and business practices. But I've always said that the pros of Tekken 8, in my opinion, outweigh the cons. And I can actually give you 10 good things about Tekken 8 in detail quite easily. If you want to hear them, well, I've already actually voiced them in other videos, but if you do want to hear them, then let me know, and when we go over the 10 things positive about Mortal Kombat 1, if we do that video, I will also voice to you quite easily. I can do it on a live stream at any point. 10 good things about Tekken 8. I agree about the game being incredibly good. I think the problem mainly stems from a reverse don't hate the player, hate the game type scenario. There's definitely players, not skilled players, in MK1 that ruin the experience for many others that want to play it in peace. Incredibly good. Incredibly good. Hold on, let me look up the definition of incredibly, because clearly I must be stupid. I'm so sorry.
2 hours later.
There we are. Incredibly good. To a great degree. Used to introduce a statement that is hard to believe. Well, it is actually hard to believe that somebody would say that, but I doubt he did it with a straight face. There's just no way. There is no way. And this whole talking point of ruin the experience for other players. How can someone ruin the experience for you if you genuinely enjoy the game? Do you guys think if all of you started hating on Tekken 8 and Sparking Zero, that it's going to ruin the experience for me when I'm sitting in my house playing with people that like it? How could you even possibly ruin the experience for me unless I was some sort of wet blanket that is sitting there upset at words on the internet whilst I mash buttons? Like how? You guys know, or maybe some of you don't, but I love Sonic 2006. Now I know, it's a weird game to love, but I do. I love how goofy the game was, I love how broken it is, and I had such a laugh on that game. I've got very, very fond memories of it. But the internet hates that game. More specifically, the Sonic community. Do you think I care? Do you think it tarnishes the memories of that game for me or waters down the fun that I could even have today? Obviously not. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about here? Everyone and their nans could hate Sparking Zero, the upcoming Dragon Ball game. If me and my boys can lock in and play, your voices immediately get drowned out. Now, I don't mean that as a put down to anybody watching the video. I'm not saying that you can't speak on it, but if I'm having fun, you can make 10,000 videos about the game. It's not going to change it for me. I am having fun on the game. As if my opinion or anyone else's opinion will make the game less fun for you. As if opinions of others won't allow you to play the game in peace. Is this like a Randy Orton voices in your head situation? Like, can you hear voices in your head? Are they insulting MK? Do they understand? Like, seriously, what are we even talking about here? That's why I hate social media. Negativity gets so much more attention here. We see the same thing on YouTube. It doesn't matter if an MK creator tries to innovate in terms of video ideas. There'll mostly never be a vid with the title MK equals trash or someone ranting non-stop. There'll never be a video that says Mortal Kombat is trash because Mortal Kombat is trash, and that's the truth. If someone tries to make a video about Elden Ring calling it trash, it will lose to the creators doing the opposite. You know why? Because Elden Ring is not trash and people don't believe that. That's not the general consensus. The general sentiment towards Street Fighter 6 is that it is a solid fighting game. That's reflected in the player retention and the numbers. When people make positive videos about Street Fighter 6, they do very well and the channels are built off that. They are being built off that as we speak because that's the general feeling. When they shit talk it, nobody cares. That's how it works. Videos tend to get views over long periods of time on a topic because it's something people want to discuss or feel. I don't get why you guys cannot see that. Another problem is that creating negative content is way easier than coming up with unique video ideas. Rant videos take the least effort and generate the most reward. Unfortunately, all this leads to is a spiral of negativity which pulls the entire community down in the long run. Yeah, it is easier to just be honest. That's the problem here. That's what people are doing. They're being honest. You know what's really funny about tweets like this is that they're making out like you, the viewer, can't think for yourself. As if I inform all of your decisions and feelings for a game or anyone else bashing it. It's not that you guys can think for yourself and just happen to agree on this subject. It's that content creators are creating a cyclone of negativity and you guys are just being sucked in by it. Isn't it funny that I can make videos on tier lists and one and dones in Tekken and you guys disagree with me and we have that conversation, but with Mortal Kombat it's like, nah, they can't think for themselves. You're all just getting sucked into my tsunami of hate. This is a cop-out in my opinion. Acknowledge that this game is hated for multiple reasons and stop being dismissive. I challenge you guys. You have the internet. You have YouTube accounts. Make endless hate videos for the first 4 Metal Gear Solid games and watch what happens. The Metal Gear community are gonna chew you up and spit you out. Make hate videos for the Devil May Cry games. Make hate videos about Shadow of the Colossus. Make hate videos about Third Strike. The communities are gonna chew you up and spit you out. Now, the initial video that you make might get some attention because it's like, oh, what is this idiot talking about? Do you think they're going to stick around after they've heard the bullshit coming out of your mouth the first time? They're not going to be coming back. They're going to come back to these videos if there is a feeling that is shared amongst the community. Go and make Metal Gear hate videos. Let me know how that works out for you. Gamers don't like being told how to think and where to spend their money. They do like listening to opinions, however, that resonate with their own. I do not have the power, nor do any of these other content creators have the power to sway public discourse telling the truth, because these people can go and purchase the game and see what we're saying. Now, you can lie to them and say that the game is incredibly good, and you can pretend like there are not a variety and array of issues with this game and a lack of support. You would be lying and you would be duping people into spending their money if you did that. But there are no lies told here in what I'm saying, and there are no lies told on the other videos where content creators are being dismissive of these games. Are there content creators out there that are ripping into MK and have no validity in what they're saying? Sure, but we can pull receipts up on these people. I'm not saying these people don't exist, but if you're pretending like there are not serious issues with this game and that this negative and this rage, even from people that we don't necessarily agree with, even though we don't like the game, if you're pretending that the rage didn't come from somewhere, I don't know what to tell you guys. 100% it's easier, and it seems like people don't care about the players who get affected by the constant negativity. Like, who would want to invest money into a competitive scene that is seen so negatively? It's sad. Who gets affected by the constant negativity? I'm confused. I'm actually really confused. Who are these people? Someone please explain this one to me. Like I said, if all of you hate on Sparking Zero and there's a competitive scene for it, I'm there for it. I don't give a shit what anyone says. I am there. I won't be able to hear your booing or your negative comments over my Final Flash. You don't like the game? Who cares? Big Bang Attack. Couldn't care less. Like, who is the negativity affecting actually? There's just no way people are this fragile. Like, you guys are acting like negative opinions ruin your gaming experience, as if you go all F4 every single time somebody says something about Mortal Kombat. Everyone needs to relax here. It is insane to me that you can have a bracket of over 500,000 and people will be like dead as hell. When I'm over here struggling to have my game at majors, I would kill for a bracket of 100, let alone 600. It's about scope. EVO is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, and Mortal Kombat is considered one of the big three. And when your comrades have around 5k each, if we're rounding up and down, you can't even break 1k, it does not look good. Can those 645 people still go to EVO and have a great time and create some memories? Sure. Do the numbers, however, tell a story? Yes, they do. Now, I understand you might kill to have 100 people in your game, but your game is probably very, very small, does not have the budget of MK, and doesn't have the worldwide appeal that MK does. So when you're looking at scope, coupled with the fact that this is the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, and it is in America where the majority of Mortal Kombat sales are, it does not look good. So the criticisms about the number of entrants are completely valid. A game as big as Mortal Kombat should not be 7th under Night in Birth, Street Fighter 3 and Grand Blue. I can see it for Guilty Gear because Guilty Gear is quite a big game, and it's no shade on those other games, but they just don't have the scope or the reach of Mortal Kombat. Hate to say this, but I'm seeing a lot of cope for why Mortal Kombat 1 has low entrance at EVO. Yes, there are a few reasons that can attest to why that is, but regardless, a brand new Mortal Kombat title should not be ranked 7th in its first year. Our competitive scene is sadly not taken seriously. The problems with it are not the talent. MK scene has great competition, but it's everything surrounding it. Lackluster prize pools, average pro tour, as well as buggy patches almost every month. Mortal Kombat is sadly held back by Warner Bros., which is why crowdfunding is a must. Finally, somebody talking sense and addressing some of the issues at hand. It's crazy because it's your scene. That's your scene, guys. And if you guys took your own scene seriously, you would show up to it. It's not like Mortal Kombat isn't the most successful fighting game franchise ever made. It's even outsold Super Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Do you know how crazy that is? Your scene has rejected the game. You have caused this mess yourself. No other scenes did this to you. No looking down on Mortal Kombat has done this to you. Looking down on Mortal Kombat doesn't even make sense when it is the juggernaut amongst fighting games. You need to accept that your own scene have done this. They have rejected the game. They have checked out because they do not have faith in the product. It's always funny to me that the most popular fighting game franchise in the world, with the most worldwide appeal, and yes, it has the most worldwide appeal, always has the diehards and the ones on the most copium saying, well, the Asian scenes don't get to play it, so that plays into our numbers. How does that even make sense? How can you simultaneously be the most popular and well-selling game in the world within the fighting game genre and also lose to games that don't sell as much as you, even though they are sold everywhere? It makes no sense. Can somebody make this make sense to me? The Asian market is a nonsense talking point. If it was the case that Mortal Kombat was not selling well and there were regions of the world that couldn't get it, then I would hear your argument. But even without the Asian market, it still outsells Tekken and Street Fighter. So how does it make any sense? Can somebody please explain this to me? Let's talk about how NRS players can pick up any title they want and be just as good or better than OGs, but y'all won't dare pick up NRS titles and be better than us. I mean, first of all, this is just a lie. It is worded like NRS players are genetically wired to be superior at fighting games, and that is definitely not true. Of all the fighting games I own, not only is MK1 the easiest one to play of the current fighters, it's also the most simple. I don't need to spend more than 3 minutes in training mode to learn some of the most optimal combos for my own character. And I actually did this on video on my channel, so it's not even like I'm lying about it. I also don't know who he's talking about outside of Sonic Fox. And even in Sonic Fox's case, he has gone to other titles and done really well. And I'd never shit on Sonic Fox's accomplishments. But any title, I'm sorry, I did not see Sonic Fox showing up and showing out for Tekken and Street Fighter the way he's done on other titles, so it's not any title. And there are other games, obviously. Now, this is just nonsense. Nobody is doing that on any games, let alone Mortal Kombat players. Most players of other games think NRS games are stiff and jank. It's not that they can't get good. I can say the same for other titles. I'm sure you can, but other players avoid NRS because of that, not because they're afraid of losing. You can say that for other players as well. Why wouldn't you go to a scene with substantially more money involved in it if you're convinced you can win some of it? This is just deflection after deflection. You can't say the same about other titles. Tekken, Street Fighter, Dragon Ball FighterZ, hell, even the goddamn arena fighters like Demon Slayer feel more smooth in comparison to Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is known for having stiff animations and making you feel like you're walking through mud half the time. Also, besides poor design, why the hell would anyone play Mortal Kombat with no incentives on the pro circuit? I'm not going to play a game that feels like shit and then get paid like I am a minimum wage worker. I may as well just go get a minimum wage job. It's not that NRS players can pick up other games and people that play those games can't come to NRS. It's that NRS players themselves, at least most of them, don't even want to show up and play their game in tournament, and yet you think somehow people that play other games do. It's not that they would pick up Mortal Kombat, but they just can't cut it, so they don't. It's that they are already playing a game that is full of life and very enjoyable. Why would they come to a game when even that game's most hardcore community doesn't even like it for the most part? Thank you, Tom Brady. They will make any excuse under the sun. Not to mention, didn't OGs like Christie and Justin Wong do really well in Mortal Kombat games? Even Perfect Legend was a DOA player, right? He won DOA at EVO. He came over to Mortal Kombat and he destroyed the scene and essentially took over it for 2 EVOs during its peak run on Mortal Kombat 9. So what does this even all mean? Not everybody is going to be high level, and obviously there are levels to Mortal Kombat, nobody's saying that. But to even think that a high level Mortal Kombat player is comparable to a high level Tekken player is absolutely ridiculous. And this is not my bias speaking, this is objectively. Tekken is a much bigger game. There is a lot more going on, there's a lot more to understand, there's a lot more to take in. The same goes for Street Fighter. It's a much more complex game. Mortal Kombat is the most basic. Now that doesn't mean that I am going to go to a major and do well. That doesn't mean that you are. But if you're looking at them objectively, you're not going to look at Dragon Ball FighterZ and go, yeah, this is much easier than Mortal Kombat. Now, nobody would say that. Mortal Kombat is so insanely easy to pick up and play. You can get better at it. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that everybody's going to be an EVO World Champion. Nobody's saying that everybody can beat Sonic Fox or Rewind or any of these players. But the game's design itself is very simplistic. That is not really up for debate. Depends on the NRS player. It's not that people from other fighters can't, they just won't for good reasons. My thing is, don't shit talk NRS when you won't dare pick up the game. Won't dare pick up the game, but what? As if it's some unholy task only a traveled and seasoned warrior can take on. You're acting like you gotta be Nathan Drake to play NRS games. Now you have to be somewhat daring because I guess time is precious and Mortal Kombat is a massive waste of it. So if you want to go about using your time like that, then fair enough. But anybody can shit talk NRS and anybody can shit talk anything. Nobody's the gatekeeper on what we can and can't say about these games. While I do think our top players can do good in other fighting games, why would they come to our game? I mean, look at our pots and the support we get. They literally just downgrading. I understand what you're saying with money and you're definitely right, but NRS has always been a small community and don't get support like other big titles. What I don't like is when other players from other communities downgrade us when they never touch an NRS title. Other communities have not downgraded you. You guys have done that to yourself. NRS has always been a small community because people have too much common sense to play a game where the design is poor and the incentives are small. Why play a game with terrible balancing and game-breaking glitches for no money when you can play a refined game with legacy knowledge and actual payouts? Imagine the most financially successful fighting game that's pushed the most units, giving their scene no support. And then the fallback is, it's always been like this. So it's always been shit, is what you're saying. So like, I don't understand. It makes no sense. Mortal Kombat players have lined the pockets of Warner Brothers and NRS because it sells the most. And from what I hear, it ain't doing too bad on the microtransaction front either, despite the predatory practices. So you line their pockets and they can't give back to you guys. And you know what? I'll accept, first world problem, but at the very least, if you purchase a game, it should be working, right? So even if they didn't want to do a pro circuit, even if they were like, we're hands off of this, no problem, that's their decision. But they do one, and it's a bad one. But even if they didn't do that, at least make the game work properly. They can't even do that properly. So they downgrade their own game, and you guys downgrade your own scene because you don't even show up for it, which means you share the sentiments. You might not share all of my sentiments or all of the sentiments of other scenes, but you definitely share enough to not show up for the game. For people who don't know, this is the lowest numbers an NRS game has had in its first year since 2013 with Injustice. Mortal Kombat 1 entrants are less than half of the last EVO than a Mortal Kombat release. I am begging Warner Bros. And NRS to put more care into their games. Another level-headed tweet by Wonder Chef, I gotta tell you, look at the pattern of behavior with NRS. You already gave them your money. They don't care. The best thing to do to force their hand is to abandon their game. Force them into making something worthwhile. Why do you have to beg these guys for basic things? They're taking the piss out of their own core scene right now because they can. Don't beg them. Just starve them. And I don't mean to sound mean when I say that. I don't mean to sound harsh. But the only way Mortal Kombat can make a comeback is if they make Mortal Kombat fans happy. They don't have to make the Tekken fans happy. They ain't gotta make the Street Fighter fans happy. They need to make their own core scene happy. Because again, this is not because of other scenes dunking on Mortal Kombat. This is because its own scene has walked away from it. It is reflected in the numbers. So you guys need to forget about other scenes clowning you. You're clowning yourselves. You're focusing on the wrong things. NRS are clowning you. They've been clowning you since day one. MK1 has been out for almost 1 year and somehow we still don't have an online practice. That's just shambolic. But then again, as Sikander has said several times, this is a party game and not a serious fighting game. Party games don't have practice modes when you're waiting for matches to... Wait a second. Oh dear. Oh dearie me. The fighting game community talks down on Mortal Kombat because it's the cool thing to do and sadly I doubt it will ever change. It's not the cool thing to do, Cozy. It is the necessary thing to do. It won't change till the game gets better. Nobody wants to suckle at the teat of sewer juice. When the games get better, so will the sentiments towards it. It has been like this since April 2019 with the release of Mortal Kombat 11 and it will remain this way until NRS fix up. Did people complain about Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat 10? Sure. People always complained. I complained about things, but was I having a hell of a lot more fun than I am now, as everybody else was? Yes, and I remember how fond people were of Mortal Kombat back in the day, back in the original modern era titles of this run. You can try to rewrite history, but a lot of us were in the tournaments, myself included. I saw the energy in the buildings and the enthusiasm to play. It is not there anymore. So these people can pretend it's just for views, that it's overblown, that it's nonsense and it's just cool to hate, or they can take their heads out of the sand and actually accept what's going on. I never said you can't like Mortal Kombat 1 and I have no power over who likes Mortal Kombat 1 and quite frankly I don't care who likes Mortal Kombat 1, but if you fail to acknowledge the glaring issues with the game, then when reality comes knocking on the door of your fortress to Delusion, you're going to continue to react this way. You're going to continue to react in a very confused and bewildered manner at the fact that people hate your incredible game because you're not paying attention. you're being dismissive, or you are coping extremely hard. Now, I don't anticipate this situation changing much in the lead up to EVO, and if I'm being completely honest with you guys, like I said yesterday, I am not anticipating much from that top 8. I'm not going to blame any player for picking the most ridiculous teams in that game, likely Johnny Cage and Chameleon, because they're trying to get that bag, but you have to understand what Twitter is going to look like the morning after, when top 8 is full of nothing but the same characters. Anyways guys, take care of yourselves, stop coping, and peace.